Hi everybody, my name is Anna and I am making this video because I wanted to share how God blessed me with an apartment when I needed it the most. Um, well, I'm still shocked. Like, this has been like my first weekend at my apartment and I love it. It's literally everything that I needed. Um, and God provided that for me. And so, before I get into the story of how exactly happened, I have to give you a little bit of context. So I have, I'm 28 and I have always lived with someone, like either with my mom or with my ex partner or with my roommates or something like that. And throughout all of the different experiences, I have realized that I am not meant to live with someone else. like, I've had like such bad experiences living with people. So like I feel like I needed like my own space. I I was craving that. Um so I first lived with my mom until I was 18. From there I went to university. So I lived with my roommate for almost 2 years. Then I moved with my sister, um, and I lived there with her. And then I moved with my best friend at the time. I lived with her for another year. And throughout that year, I met my ex partner and I lived with him for like almost 3 years. So I had a pretty rough breakup. And so at the time, I wasn't like making a lot of money or anything. So I needed to find a roommate. So I found this like random guy off of like Facebook Marketplace or something, and just I started living with him as my roommate. From there, like everything like went bad. That was my first like almost like experience with someone else like that I didn't know. And then from there, my sister gave me an opportunity to like live with her. I lived with her for almost 2 years as well. And there were a lot of things that happened with my sister, and I have to move out. From there, I met another another random couple off of Facebook Marketplace. I do not recommend that. Do not recommend that. And so I moved with them, and again, it was a really long story, but it was bad, and then I have to like literally like run out because there were a lot of things happening that that I didn't need to be like involved with all of that, you know. And if you guys want, I can make a separate video about like all of my bad experiences with roommates and why I really needed, um, you know, to have my own space, like to be by myself. And so after a couple of years, like since 2020, yeah, since 2020, like living with roommates, living with other people, like having bad experiences, I was done. I was literally done. So in 2023, I decided that I was going to risk everything and I was going to like just go and like make my dreams come true. Like I've always wanted to live in Europe and like visit Europe and travel. And so I said that that was gonna be the year that I did it. And I did it and I lived by myself for the entire 2023. It was the best experience of my life. Like I learned so much. I got so independent. Like it was the best, literally the best experience of my life. And so the only caveat is that I only was allowed to stay there for a full year. Like I needed to come back in 2024. And at the time, like I lost my job at the same time. So it was either there was no other option, I needed to come back. And now I know that everything was for a plan. Like it was literally all for a plan. But at the time, I was like so heartbroken because I had my first experience like living with myself. I had so many great experiences over there, like, and I wanted to stay there. But I was obedient and I came back. And at the time, since I didn't have like any job or I didn't have anything, I have to go back to living with my mom. It was a really rough time. It was almost like I would say 8 months of me suffering. Like I was in the trenches, I would say. Because I had gotten like so independent. Um, I had like my own money. I was making my own money. I treasured like my freedom, being able to just get out of the house and like go for walks. That was like so great for me, like mentally, physically, and everything. And so I found myself in a point where it was like I was, I feel like I was back to like square zero, literally. But it was a great time because God prepared me so much for everything that is coming ahead. So I'm grateful for that time, even though it was really hard. It was really hard for me, like in all aspects. But yeah, from there, during that time that I was there, um, at my mom's house, I was completing a program. So I was learning throughout that time. And so from there, from that program, I got a job. That is the job that I have right now. And so this was back in I needed to do this job back in the US. So um, I needed to come back. I was in Puerto Rico, so I came back to the US. And then from there, um, I was like rebuilding my confidence in everything, my skills, and like getting my life together. So I paid for an Airbnb, and my plan was to stay there for almost like 6 to 8 months, like to rebuild my life, and since I didn't have to pay for pretty much anything else, just the room and everything, so it was good. It first started like really good. I was by myself, and the owner had like obviously his room, but he wasn't always home, so I was great because I was basically living by myself. He would come um, at 9, so I was already like sleep. So there wasn't a lot of interaction, so it was great. Um, and I think I would say that I'm kind of like I have like social anxiety sometimes, so like that allows me, not allows me, but like that makes me like be really introverted, and like that put me in situations where I was like days without coming out of my room because I was like afraid or like of the interaction, I would say. And so from there, the first month was great. That was October. And then a roommate, a guy, moved into one of the bedrooms. And I have to say that the bathroom was shared, but it was not only shared, it was like a Jack and Jill style. So the bathroom was in between the two rooms, and there were doors connecting like from the two rooms to the bathroom. So at first it was great, I was by myself, everything was great. Then the roommate came in, and everything was fine at first, right? But a lot of things started happening that was making me feel uncomfortable. So it got to a point where I was like, nah, I need to get out of here because I'm not feeling comfortable at all. So um, I told the landlord, basically the owner of the house, and I saw a couple of things that I'm like, nah, wow, he really doesn't have my back, and I am here by myself. You know, there's two guys in this house. What am I even doing here? So I started looking for apartments, and I looked on. There's a website, apartment.com, and I was looking at that apartment on that website, looking, and I found an apartment that it was perfect. It was everything that I wanted, everything. And so I was like almost like obsessed with that apartment. Like I was almost obsessed. And so I decided that I wanted to like visit the apartment and see what it was all about. It was like a new building. Um, so it would be like I would be the first person to like stay in that apartment, which was perfect. Okay. So the day of the appointment, I went to visit the apartment, and it was beautiful. It was great, a great apartment, everything, brand new and everything. But they didn't have balconies. And so for me, that was like a deal breaker because, as I mentioned before, like I have like sometimes I get like anxiety or whatever, and so I need to like breathe fresh air. So I need to like literally go outside, breathe, and calm myself down. And so that wasn't gonna work for me. That wasn't gonna work for me. But at the time, like I told um, the lady that was showing me the apartment that, and she said, "Oh, okay, I understand. So like, since you're looking for an apartment with um, a balcony, you should look into those other apartments over there." And she said, "I have a friend there. She works there. Like, you should look into them." I'm like, "Okay, I will look into them. That's fine." But at the time, like, I was like, I didn't have a lot of money to take another Uber to the other apartment. So I was like, maybe I'll come, another day or whatever, um, to see the apartments or, you know. But I spent like a couple of hours during that time. Um, kind of like I went to a library, I was like reading and things like that. And then something, not something, it's God, was God. God told me to like go to those apartments. So I went to the apartments and I loved them, like from outside. I came in late, so I couldn't tour those apartments like that day. But I was like, oh my God, this is like so beautiful. Like I need to see them. And so I called and I scheduled an appointment for, actually, no, no. I I was going to go see the apartments, right? But excuse me, I had so many things to do that same week, and they were really important things. And I'm like, I cannot mess this up because I know that if I go and see those apartments, like, I'm gonna be stressed about it because I'm gonna be thinking about it, and I have to do this, and this is really important. I have to focus on this. But for whatever reason, I decided that I wanted to call, um, and I wanted to use ask the lady that helped me that day for more information about the apartments. And so she mentioned that she had like two studio apartments that were $1,300. And I was like, okay, that's within my budget, that's perfect. And so I was really excited for those apartments to go see them. But then all of a sudden, like I received an email from the apartment building, and they were saying that the apartment got lower, like the price decreased. So now it was 1,278. So I'm like, okay, that's perfect. That's even better. So I need to go. And so I called the lady, and she was like, yeah, so the studio apartments are getting a lot of like views. Like, if I were you, I would come sooner because I think I called like on a Monday, and I scheduled the tour for like a Saturday or something like that. So like it was like a whole week. And then she said, if I were you, I would schedule it like sooner than that because there are a lot of people that are interested. And I was okay. So I thought about it. I didn't have a lot of money, but I thought about it, and I was like, okay, this is worth it. I have, you know, I need to leave, basically. Oh, and so I'm missing something. So really important. I had paid my Airbnb in December 22nd. And so I remember the last date that I put was January 30th. So that day is really important, January 30th. And so um, in December 24th, like I had my family come over and we made a dinner. And that's when like this whole thing with the roommate happened, like that was making me uncomfortable. And that's what triggered like me telling the owner what was happening and all of that. That triggers like that was like literally like a domino effect. um it triggers like him like showing his true colors, me feeling like even more uncomfortable at that situation and like desperate because I needed to get out of there. um and so from there, yeah, so that happened. Perfect. So the other thing important is that I had told my the landlord, my host from Airbnb, that I wanted to extend my stay, and that was before all of that happened. So that was even um, before the 22nd. So nothing like that had happened. So I was planning of staying, and that in that room like for 3 or 4 more months. But then like something happened where I couldn't like extend my stay, and he didn't know how to fix it, so he was gonna call like Airbnb or something to try to figure it out, but like he couldn't for whatever reason. So from there, like December 24th happened, and then all of that happened. So I haven't heard from him like during all this time, and there was like almost like 2 weeks passed. So I didn't hear from him, nothing. So let's go back to when I called the apartment building. The lady was telling me that there was a lot of people interested in those studio apartments. And so I decided that even though I wanted to save money, I was going to spend that money because I needed to move out. I needed to see those apartments. So from there, I was like, okay, so let's schedule a time tomorrow, literally the next day. Because one, I wanted to see the apartments, and two, if I saw the apartments within 48 hours of me like requesting more information, the price will lock in. So the $1,278 will lock in as my rent. So that was perfect. I was like, yeah, let's do this. From there, I went to see the apartments. Um, the lady showed me 3 apartments, and I fell in love with one. It was perfect. It was like a studio apartment. The view was great and everything. So I was like, okay, let's do this. Like I literally picture myself there. The only thing is that for whatever reason, like the room was in like the wrong side of the apartment, and there wasn't like any windows, and that was something that I really wanted, but I was willing to compromise for that because it was a good price. I needed to move. Fine. So that day, I was like, okay, so I'm gonna apply for this apartment. I'm gonna apply for this apartment. I'm gonna do it, and let's let's go. Let's do this. So from there, I went to the office. I started the process of applying, and you know, I was like really excited. Another thing that is really important here, the reason why I wanted to stay in the Airbnb is because like my credit wasn't that good. My credit wasn't that good. And I wasn't making a lot of money either. So I was like, I'm not even going to apply to an apartment because I'm not gonna get approved. Like I don't have the income. I don't have the credit. So it's like a waste of money, and those applications and like the application fee and the and everything, like the admin fee, that's almost $400. So I wasn't even going to attempt it. But I told my sister that, and she told me to apply. So literally to like um, look for apartments and things like that. And now I see that that was God like talking to her, because like if she wouldn't have like pressure me into like look for apartments, I don't think I would have done it, honestly. And so from there, another important thing is that I was still applying for different positions. I was applying, and I got an offer for a position. It was a summer internship, but that was a lot of another thing that helped me, because like for whatever reason they didn't put like the date in the position, the start date. So um I use that as a way of telling them that I have like a dual income, that I was working two jobs, and like that helped me qualify, literally. And that was God. That was literally God. Oh my God. And so, well, from there, I saw the apartments. I decided to apply for one of the apartments, and everything was great. I went back home. I started working, and I decided that I was going to take my break from lunch to like review everything, pay for the admin fee and the application fee, and apply for this apartment. Fine. So from there, I did that, and I was really excited for the apartment. So, yeah, I just waited. I waited like 3 days, and that was on, I think it was on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. Wednesday or Tuesday, something like that. So I applied for them that day, and I waited until Saturday. On Saturday, there were a couple of days like passed. So I was like, what is going on? Like, why am I not getting like a response? I need to know, because at this point, like I mentioned before, I needed to focus on what was happening that week, that it was really important. But like I said, I didn't want to go and look for apartments, because like I wanted to focus on that, and I knew that the whole apartment search like was going to like um distract me, literally. And so I waited that Saturday. I called the apartment building, and they say that there was an issue. Like when I applied, someone else had applied before for the apartment, and since they applied before, they got the apartment. And I'm like, man, I cannot. I cannot believe this. Like, this cannot be happening. I was like so heartbroken and like so disappointed. And the girl was like, but don't worry. Like, I'm still looking with my manager and see how we can help you. Like, we're gonna call you on Monday. Okay. So again, that week, that week from Monday, like, it was the important week. So I was like so nervous because of that. So nervous because of the, you know, of the whole thing. Literally the whole thing. I was like, oh my god, I need an answer. So Monday, it was almost like the end of the day. It was almost like 4:30 or something p.m. And I was like, okay, so this girl hasn't called me. I need to call her because I need an answer, you know? So I call her and she's like, okay, so I got more information about the apartment. This is the apartment, blah blah blah. I was able to like work with my manager a new price, and it's I think it was $1,480 something dollars, and that was $200 more that I was planning on spending. So I was like, oh my god. So like you know, I don't know, like, but I needed to go. You know, another important thing is that throughout this whole process, I was praying. I was praying, God, like, help me. God, deliver me from this place. I need your help. Give me favor. Make a way from me. And another, like, one of the songs that I was listening to is Make a Way from uh, Maverick City Music. Like, love that song. Oh my God. And so I was like praying, God, make a way for me, please deliver me from this place. I need to go. The desires of my heart, like what I need, and I need to go from this place. Okay. So from there, I didn't even know what I was gonna do because at this point, like, I had spent like almost $400 in the application. Um, I was running low on money because, well, I was running low on money and time because I didn't know, what was gonna happen, and that was almost like, I think it was on the 15, 16 of January, like a week or so ago. And so I was like, I have until the 30th to go, and I need clarity. So that day she called me, she told me about this new apartment. She told me that it was going to be a little bit bigger. And she showed me, she told me that she was going to send me um, pictures. So I asked her, I cannot go one more time there. Just send me pictures, send me videos so that I can see what does the apartment look like. So at first, like, she was, yeah, I'm gonna send you videos and all of that. And so the next day she sent me all the videos. And the other thing that I was like, oh my god, what's going on? So like they couldn't send me videos that day because someone else was like using the keys, because there was like a renovation or something going on. So someone else was using the keys. And then from there, the next morning, she was looking for the keys and she couldn't find the keys. So I was like, oh my god, like this is crazy. But like throughout this whole process, the word that was on my mind was patience, literally patience. So I was still praying, and fine. Um, so from there, the next day, I think it was like in the afternoon, she found the keys and she was able to like send me all the videos and all of that. And I loved the apartment. It was really cute. It was like, made for me. There's a window in the bedroom. And so I was like, okay, let's give this a chance. Let's trust God. Let's see what he's gonna do. So from there, I was like, okay, I like the apartment, but I still want to see it in person because it's different when you see it in person. So I still want to schedule an appointment to go and see the apartment. Okay. We see the apartment. I love the apartment. So I give them like the approval of like me wanting to change my application for this apartment. And the other thing that was like really worrying me is that, you know, they said that the deposit um, was going to be either $300 or up to the month of the apartment's rent. And I'm like, God, you know that I don't have money. God, you know that I don't have money. If I have to pay like the month rent, I'm not gonna be able to make it. So I'm gonna have to stay here. And so, um, initially, the day that I was going to move here was on the 25th of January, 2025. So like a week or so ago. But since all of that delay, like I couldn't make all of that happen on the 25th because the day that I went to see the apartment was on the 23rd. So I'm like, I cannot move and make all of those arrangements in 2 days. That's not possible. And so from there, I was still, like praying, God, make a way for me. God, allow them to just give me that $300 deposit because, like, otherwise, I'm gonna have to stay there. So at the end of me seeing the apartment, like I was almost like telling them, like I need an answer today because I need to know what I'm going to do. Because it's been like almost 2 weeks and I'm in a limbo right now. And they were like, okay, so by the end of the day, I'm gonna give you a call. I'm gonna let you know exactly what you're gonna be paying and everything. And I'm like, okay. But at that point, I was like, the night before, I spent like almost 3 hours like looking for other apartments because if this wasn't gonna be the apartment for me, like I was gonna go live somewhere else. And so, um, from there, I didn't sleep that night. Just looking for apartments and like worrying about what was gonna happen. So I barely slept like 3 hours. So from there, I was like, okay, so let's see what we can do. Let's gonna let's go and see the apartment, and if that doesn't work, I'm just gonna call like some other apartments that are having like deals and things like that as well. So let's do that. So yeah, that was the plan. But like some of the apartments that I was really interested in, um, they opened at 10 a.m. And so at that time, at 10, like I was doing the tour for the apartment, so I couldn't call them. So once I finished the tour, excuse me, once I finished the tour, I was like, okay. So she told me that she was gonna call me. I'm just gonna call some other places and see what they have going on. And so as soon as I was calling, I was like, ring, 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 like calling, and the phone was ringing. I see this girl, the lady came back, and she said, Anna, so my manager approved um your application. The deposit is $300. I was like, oh my God, praise the Lord, because at that time I literally had the money that was needed. And I was like, oh my God, like God, you're great, literally. So that day I took myself and I got like a little bit of breakfast to celebrate. And I was so excited. So excited. So they told me that the only thing that I needed to have to be able to move in was the electricity. So I needed to call the electricity company and like have them like schedule the power in the apartment. I was like, great, I can do that. The only thing I didn't know is that you have to you have to make a deposit to be able to do that. I don't know if that was based on my credit, but again, as I mentioned, my credit wasn't that great. So when I called, everything was great. I gave them the address, my information, everything, and they said, well, in this case, you will have to pay $150 of deposit to be able to have the power in your house. And I was like, oh my God, what am I even gonna do? Like at that point, I had literally $348 left for the rest of the month. I was like, I don't even know what I'm gonna do because I have to pay something else that I had already scheduled. I had to pay this $150, and I wasn't gonna have any money left to be able to eat or whatever. So like before that conversation, there's something else I have to tell you. So before that conversation, I have a bank, and the bank sent me a card for like a paying for something, paying for a deal or something like that. And I could use up to $200. So that means that if I needed to use something, I could use that and pay only $50 and then use up to $200. So I was like, that was like on the back of my mind when that conversation was going on. I remember that. So they asked me, so what do you want to do? Like, do you want me to cancel this order or do you want me to just keep it and then you pay it before the date? So I was like, at that point, I was like, God, I mean, you carried me through this process. I might as well just, trust you in this process and have like crazy faith. So I was like, yeah, just keep the order. I'll figure it out how it's gonna, you know, how I'm gonna do it. Fine. From there, I was like, I had like so many scenarios like going through my mind. How am I gonna do it? How am I gonna be able to eat? And a lot of things going. But I decided to trust God. And then from there, I went ahead and I paid with the $348 that I had left. I paid for that. I also needed to get internet because I work from home. So I needed to do that as well. I did it online and it was $0. I didn't have to pay anything. So I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Because everything is working out. I just needed literally, I just needed to trust the process. And for me, it's really important to be making this video because I know that there's someone out there that needs to hear this. That God is gonna work for you like through this process. And one thing that really helped me like carry me through the process as well was watching YouTube videos of testimonials of women that God helped to get their apartments, that had bad credit, that didn't have any income. And like I'm gonna post like the links to those videos that really helped me like in the box and like the description box, because I know that those videos are gonna help someone as well. And I hope that even if I help someone, like just one person with this video, you know, uh, that's gonna make my day. But anyway, so from there, I paid for the power. I mean, I didn't have to pay for the internet. So I was like, great, great. And then I was like, okay. So I paid for whatever I needed to pay. And then I was like, okay, so in order to be able to move, I need at least like a mattress where I can sleep, and then I need a desk to put my computer in to be able to work. Fine. So I use Afterpay to be able to pay for that, and I applied for another card, and I got approved. So I'm like, okay, thank you, Senor. Thank you, God, because that's gonna help me to like buy food and things like that. So I bought like the basics, like rice, like tuna, the basics, and eggs, and like I was planning on like just having that, you know. So I got my friend to help me like get to the place and like pay for my apartment for the first month and all of that, the deposit. So she took me there. I paid for that, and then um, yeah, like I had I had all that going on. Another thing that I forgot to mention, once I started doing the process of like looking for apartments, my host from Airbnb, he was like, hey, so like I was able to figure out how to extend your stay. What do you want to do? Like, tell me the dates, and I'll help you. I'll send you like the invitation or whatever. So that is something that to this day is like weird, because that's how the devil works. Like when God is making ways for you, he's gonna try to like intervene. Because as I mentioned before, like there has passed like 2 weeks since I first asked this guy to extend my stay, and nothing had happened. And as soon as I started like working towards getting my apartment, he all of the sudden like he figured it out. So that was the devil. But I'm glad I'm out of that situation. And so um from there, I was able to pay my rent and everything. And the last thing that I needed to do was to move out, you know. So that was the last thing. And I was, okay, so I don't have more money. I need to do this. And so I asked my aunt if she could help me to move out. And so I didn't have a lot of things, but I had a couple of things, like boxes and things like that. And she told me that she had like a small card. So I was like, okay, if I move, I might have to get an Uber, and it's gonna be like up to $50. So, you know, how am I gonna do it? Because I don't have a lot of money left, literally. And so she helped me, like she came in. I was like, I had everything packed already. So like we just like started putting in her card. And I know that was God as well. Like God allowed everything, literally everything, to fix in her car. And she had like a small car and like everything fixed. And I'm like, wow. So like that's how God works. Like, and I'm still like shocked because like that could have been like almost like, if I didn't have this faith, like that could have been almost impossible. Like this whole process of me like getting this apartment, like moving out, like trusting God, like that is so important for me to like, and for everyone to like have that trust in God, like that crazy faith. It's really important. And so yeah, so like I moved here, my first apartment ever, by myself, and God carried me through this whole process. Like I've seen His ways, like I've seen His help, like in the whole process. And I moved here. I moved in my first apartment, and I am really excited because I'm decorating my apartment. I am changing a couple of things, like painting and things like that. So it's gonna be great. And like I'm really excited about this. And yeah, I decided to make this video because I know someone out there needs to hear this. And someone out there is going through the whole process that I went through, and I don't know if they're feeling defeated, but I need to tell them that God is great. God is gonna make a way in your life. God is gonna make a way throughout this process. So you trust Him and be obedient. Because literally, if I didn't go that day, like after I went to the first apartment, if I didn't go to this apartment complex, like I would have never, experienced like God, in this magnitude. So yeah, I feel like it's really important to have that crazy faith and just trust God, He's gonna make a way for you. And, I hope you have gotten like um some faith from this video, some excitement about your situation. And yeah, that's why I wanted to make this video. I'm going to be making a lot of other videos about some more testimonies from God. So if you want to stick around and follow me, like this video, that's gonna help me a lot. This is also my first video on YouTube. So yeah, that's it. That's how God helped me to get an apartment. When I had bad credit, I didn't have a lot of money, but I had that crazy faith that you know that made it possible. So yeah, I hope you guys have a blessed day, a great day, and I'll see you around. Bye.